This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we're being recorded, everybody on their best behavior. Okay, and so we've been going through the 39 Melachot over here, and there we go. Yeah, going through the 39 Melachot over here, and we've gone through the first 24. So it seems to be pretty imposing, but we saw the first 11 were all about. The first 11 were all about. Come on, we're California. All
It
about
was
pop.
all about making the bread.
Yeah, all about bread, all about the cooking and the baking. That's correct, right? And then the next 13 was all about making garments, right? And we started over there with the shearing and worked all the way up to sewing and its counterpart, which is tearing. Hello there, Daryl. Good to see you. Okay. So now we're starting our next 9, okay? And that's going to bring us, right? That's going to bring us, I think, through 33, right? And that is all about writing, okay? Before you can write, you need to have your paper, but you don't use paper. What did they use? They used parchment. So therefore, we're going to do all the malachot that lead up to being able to write. So starting on page 173, number 25, we have trapping. The malach of trapping involves catching animals or limiting their freedom of movement so they can easily be caught. Forbidden activities include trapping animals, including insects, by hand or by instrument, chasing animals into an enclosure where they can easily be caught, closing a window in a room to prevent a bird from escaping, closing a container which a fly entered, and setting up traps or snares for catching animals. Okay? So halacha l'maaseh, practical halacha applications for us would be that you can't set up a trap on Shabbos. You can set up a trap before Shabbos, right? On Sukkot, before the Yom Tov begins or the Shabbos begins, you can set up a fly trap of sorts or a bee trap of sorts, okay? Now, we'll also see as we go more in detail as we move along that, just one second, Ladell, that I'm with you, that if we have a situation where it could be a danger when it's a bee or something like that, so then one would be able to trap, the bee lands on something, you take a cup, you put it down, and the bee is thereby trapped. Now, the bee is not really necessarily trapped then, right? He's in the cup, so he's not going to cause trouble to you, but you don't really quite have him yet. Meaning, once you lift up the cup, good luck to you, right? That's round 2 of the battle between you and that bee. Okay, so it's got to be catching something in a way that it's truly fully caught. Okay, but in a situation where it could be harmful to you, right? So then, let's say you've got a mosquito buzzing around and you can't kill on Shabbos, right? We'll come to that after trapping. We're going to come to shechita, right? Slaughtering. You can't kill. You also can't kill a mosquito on Shabbos, right? Right? But if it flies into the closet, right, you can close the door, right? Because even though that's not really dangerous, it's more of a nuisance, right? But he's not caught. He's in the closet. But now, good luck to you finding him in that closet. So you wouldn't say that he is fully caught at that point. Okay.
Can you take the cup from the bee and put a paper under it and take it outside?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So that would be a good thing to do, right? Of course, when you're by your sukkah, you're already outside. You could bring him inside, but you wouldn't want to do that, right? But if there is some sort of a dangerous or even an annoying insect in the house, you could catch him in the cup, slide something underneath, take it outside, and set him free, and hope he doesn't follow you back inside afterwards. Yes, Ladero.
What about like pets? So dogs, if you have like a enclosed area in your home, can you like put your dog in a room? Like how do you handle that on Shabbos?
Okay, okay. So when you're dealing with a domesticated animal, it's not really trapping it. It lives in the house. It's in the house, right? So that would not be considered trapping. It's your dog. It's your pet. It's already trapped. It's not like, oh, I caught him in the house now, right? So if you need to put him into a room, you can put him into a room. I don't think that would go into the category of of trapping. God bless you over there.
Rabbi,
Yes.
Rabbi, regarding a mosquito, if you get a mosquito bite because you didn't like smacked it or anything like that, and you were bitten, are you able to attend to it and put something on the bite? Is
Yes.
that
Yes. Well, we'll come to medicine.
okay?
Right?
Great.
Medicine is it goes under the category, right? I'm sure we'll have a when it comes to actual.
See, actually, I was bitten by a mosquito and I didn't want to smack it on my skin, so.
Yeah, we should go through medication over here. If not, then bring it up again. Yeah. We'll also do medical care. Yes, we will deal with that. Okay. Yes. Yes, that's good. Never be embarrassed to ask.
What if there is a snake and what do you do with a snake?
A dangerous snake, you kill it.
You kill it even on Shabbat.
Yes. Yeah. If we're dealing with a danger, right? So then when we're dealing with a danger, that overrides Shabbat, right? The pasuk says, "V'chai behem," you've got to live by these, and therefore that will override. Yes, someone's in danger, right? You rescue them, you drive them to the hospital, and take care of them. Yeah. Okay. 26, slaughtering. The malach of slaughtering involves doing anything to shorten the life of a living creature. Written activities include any form of killing, including removing fish from water, exterminating insects, causing bleeding, making a wound, or causing a bruise. It is also prohibited to press on a wound so that it will bleed. Okay? So causing bleeding, making a wound. However, something that comes up though is, let's say, removing a splinter. What would you say about removing a splinter on Shabbos? Definitely allowed. Why do you say it's allowed?
It could be dangerous as well.
Okay, I don't know how dangerous it could be, right? But it's an irritation, and all you're doing, it's a mechanical act of removal. Now, granted, there might be some bleeding in the process, but that is not. Remember, we discussed the term of a psik ratio. We discussed that. You chop off the head, it's going to die, right? A psik ratio is the term that we use for an automatic, albeit unintended, consequence or result. Over there, it's not a psik ratio. It's not a definite that there will be bleeding. You don't want there to be bleeding. You just want to get the splinter out. So that is allowed on Shabbos.
Rabbi,
Yes.
that would I feel like having a splinter in your finger as well, like you said, it would be irritating. That would also kind of go, wouldn't that kind of go toward like Oneg Shabbos as well? You know, because your Shabbos is supposed to be a delight. So if you're irritated, you won't be able to really enjoy it.
Yes, we are supposed to enjoy, but when it comes to medications, we'll see it's not so simple.
Okay.
Right? You know, even if I have a cold, and if I take some cold medication, I'll feel a lot better. I'll have much more Oneg Shabbos, but I'm not necessarily allowed to take that cold medication unless I am a chola, unless I am categorized as someone who is sick. And the way that we basically determine that is, would you be in bed? If you don't take this medication, would you basically be bedridden? Right? And with the cold, that's usually not the case. Okay. Skinning. The malacha of skinning involves skinning and flaying the hide of animals. One is permitted to remove the skin from a piece of cooked chicken as one eats it. Okay? Now, that might go into the category of borer, right? You're choosing the bad from the good, which you're not allowed to do. But that is as one eats it. If that is, as we said by the watermelon, if that is derech achila, if that is the manner in which one eats, then that will not be an issue. But the feathers left on the chicken skin may not be removed. Interesting. That would go into the category of skinning or flaying the hide. Okay. Tanning, page 176, number 28. The malacha of tanning involves tanning and processing leather and other materials. Forbidden activities include smearing oil on leather and shoes, processing materials in chemical solutions, pickling food, salting meat, and the like, and no such activities that we normally do on a Shabbos, right? So, right, we're not going to be pickling things on Shabbos. We're not salting our meat, salting raw meat, right? Clearly, other issues there also. 29, scraping. The malacha of scraping involves scraping and smoothing leather and other materials. Forbidden activities include smoothing leather and removing hairs from it, smoothing creams or ointment onto skin. Okay, so coming back to your mosquito, Leticia, that you asked about, right? So if you have mosquito bite, right, you could put some things on, but you would not rub into your skin a cream, or right, you could, dab, right? Or let's say if one is dealing with infants, imagine that, Ladero. If one's dealing with infants, right, and let's say there's a bit of a diaper rash. So during the week, what do? You rub the cream onto that little sweet little bottom of your baby, right? But on Shabbos, you wouldn't be rubbing it on directly. What you can do is you could just apply it to the area, not rub it in, and then put the diaper on. And what's going to happen when you put the diaper on? It's going to get smoothed around and rubbed in. Okay, so smoothing creams or ointment onto soap, using a bar of soap, right? We can't use a bar of soap on Shabbos. What soap can we use on Shabbos? Liquid soap we can use, right? But we can't use a bar of soap on Shabbos. Cleaning soiled shoes by vigorously scraping them with a scraper or a piece of metal, and smoothing materials with sandpaper. Okay? So that which is relevant to us on a normal Shabbos would be the creams, ointments, and the bar of soap that we don't use. 30.
Rabbi,
Yes.
what about toothpaste?
Okay. So toothpaste, also best not to use toothpaste. What I do when it comes to brushing my teeth in order to avoid all the issues. So first of all, is flossing allowed on Shabbos?
I guess it depends
Yes.
if the food is a mixture in your teeth. And well,
Okay.
first of all, you'd have to pre-cut the floss.
Correct. My job every Saturday night is I cut the floss for Natalie and I for the next Shabbos. That's my that's I mean, that's not my only job. That's one of my jobs. Now, if your gums are going to bleed when you are flossing, then you should go see a dentist. That should not be happening. Okay. If it's happening, then you would not be able to floss on Shabbos. If it just might happen, then it's not a psik resha. It's not an automatic, albeit unintended consequence. You don't want it to happen, and therefore that will not be a problem. So flossing, it's very important to floss nightly. Just 1 second, we'll come back. Okay, is it about this?
Yeah.
Okay, yes?
It's because I have braces. So like for example, I have braces and sometimes like they cut inside. Like what do I do in that case? Sometimes I have to apply some wax so it doesn't cut my cheek.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, you wouldn't want to smooth it out too much. Yeah.
Kind of like the baby, just put it in there.
Yeah. Okay. So we floss. Okay. When it comes to then brushing our teeth, so what I do is I rinse my mouth with mouthwash. I spit it out, and then I take a dry brush, and then I start to brush. And within moments, it gets very, very. It's like brushing with toothpaste. But I avoid using the paste of toothpaste. They do sell. I mean, I'm not sure if they do, but they might sell liquid toothpaste. Or like I said, I just use mouthwash. Okay. Now, normally when brushing my teeth during the week, I'll first wet the toothbrush and then start to brush. Here I'm putting in a dry brush. Why? Why don't I want to wet it and then do that?
Because then that'll be considered like soaking something, right?
Well, it'd be schita. I'd be squeezing the water out from
Right.
that toothbrush. Okay.
Now, Rabbi, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead, please.
No, go on. Go.
Oh, so you said that you put the mouthwash in and then you spit it out, then you brush. Is it okay to leave a little bit in there while you brush?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Just making
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Now, there are those that say that afterwards you shouldn't rinse off the toothbrush. Right? You're not going to use it again on Shabbos. You shouldn't rinse off the toothbrush because
You don't
You
prepare
don't
for the
prepare.
next.
good hachana, preparing. You don't prepare on Shabbos for after Shabbos. So when you're brushing at night, that's not a problem because you can be brushing again in the morning, presumably, right? That issue would come up when you're brushing in the morning. But what I do rinse it off because another approach is that is not preparing for next time. That is concluding my brushing teeth this time. Right? When I finish brushing my teeth, I rinse out the toothbrush. Well, it's right similar to when I bring the food after the meal, right? Putting food away into the pantry is not preparing for next time. It's closing out this time. When you finish a meal, you put the things away. That's what our parents taught us, right? You put things away after you finish. So that's not okay. So that's how we do that. As long as we touched upon the schita thing and we touched upon soap, washing dishes on Shabbos. What are the issues and how can it be allowed?
The issue is the sponge and skita ringing out water.
Good. So first
So
of
the
all,
way to fix
before
it.
we
Oh,
get
I'm
to
sorry.
the sponge, we have hot water issues,
Sure.
right? You can't use the hot water. So you've got to wash with cold water on Shabbos. Why is that? Take hot water out, cold water goes into your boiler. You are cooking that cold water in your boiler. That's replacing hot water that came out of the boiler. So A, you need to use cold water. B, you got to use liquid soap, which normally that's what we use for our dishes, I believe. C, schita, right? Squeezing out. You can't use a regular sponge, right? You have to use a Shabbos sponge, which is just a tangle of plastic strands, and therefore it's not absorbing, right? Plastic doesn't absorb anything. Okay, is washing the dishes hachana for after Shabbos? So that gets pretty sticky, right? So if I'm washing it, if I need it the next day or for a later meal on Shabbos, it's not a problem at all. If I no longer need them on Shabbos, so then if it's going to take away from your oneg Shabbos, your enjoyment of Shabbos, having the dishes piled up over there, then you can take care of those dishes and restore the regality to your kitchen, right? If it doesn't bother you, so then it should be left until afterwards. Yes, Ladero.
When it comes to washing again with the sponge, it's okay to use a handled sponge too, correct? So a sponge with a handle attached because it's like an extension of your hand.
It would still need to be a Shabbos sponge,
Okay.
meaning the handle would not take care of the schita problem, but a handle would not be a problem in and of itself.
Okay.
All right.
So the problem is just a regular sponge, because even if it's with a handle, are we still worried about if we're washing by us kind of putting like applying pressure on a dish? That's an issue.
Yes, that would still
Got
be
it.
schita, which is squeezing out.
Clean.
Amen.
Okay.
May I ask one more question? Sorry. So I think you've touched on the dishwasher in the past. Can you just refresh my memory? Because as far as hachana, like if people are rinsing off their dishes and putting them in the dishwasher, is that permissible?
Okay. So one can do that. Okay. One can put it into the dishwasher because I don't have to put it in the wrong place. Right? Meaning I could put it in the sink, but it's not going to go in the sink. It's going to go in the dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I can put it into the dishwasher. If there's stuff, now I can soak dishes on Shabbos, right? That's not considered to be hachana because that is simply maintaining the state that it's in. Meaning, if I had something caked onto the dishes and then I started to soak them, I'm trying to change the state that it's in order to make it easier for me after Shabbos. But when I take a dish that's been used and I soak it or I wet it, I'm just maintaining it in the way that it was. Okay? So one will be able to soak, rinse, right? And then put things into a dishwasher for you, right? And of course, now putting soap into the dishwasher, right? That would be an act of hachana, right? And that one would not be allowed to do, right? But one could put it in, and then of course after Shabbos, one can run the dishwasher.
So you can just remove everything from the plate. That's not a problem either. You're not
Correct.
just okay.
Correct. Okay, number 30, marking line. That involves marking lines or figures on various kinds of material, marking lines or other shapes on a material using ink, paint, sharp instrument, or fingernail in preparation for cutting or dividing that material. Okay, and again, that's not something that we do very often on Shabbos. It doesn't really come up so much in our normal.
May I ask a question, Rabbi?
Yes.
So, so there's the Av Melachos, which is, the father category, and then there's the Toledos, which are like the stemming category. So are we still on the Av Melachos of slaughtering?
Yes.
I don't have the book with me. Okay, just making sure.
Yes. Okay. Because on the parchment, right, it's right. This is leading us to writing. It started with trapping, and then slaughtering in order to get the parchment, the hide. And then we're going through all the process. We went through all the processing of that hide, right? Which was the skinning, tanning, scraping. And now in order to write, you would start to mark, to etch lines, right? You look on a Sefer Torah, there are the lines that are etched. They're not written in, they're scratched on, and then we write under that line. The letter, if here's the line, the letter goes up against that line.
But it's so beautifully straight.
Yes, that's how it's so beautifully straight. That's exactly right. 31 is cutting to shape. The malach of cutting to shape involves cutting, plucking, or tearing a material to a desired size or shape. Forbidding activities include cutting cloth, leather, paper, or other materials to size, sharpening pencils, splitting a splinter from a piece of wood to use as a toothpick, right? And yeah. Okay, so Zyra, when it comes to your the wax that you use, you wouldn't want to be pulling off the right size. You want to have something before Shabbos that if you'll need, it's already been separated from the others, and then just apply it. And again, not yeah.
Separated before Shabbat.
Yeah. Similar to the floss that that we cut before Shabbos. Okay, and then we come to the point that we were working our way towards, which is 32, writing. The malach of writing involves writing letters, numbers, lines, and forms which have meaning. Forbidden activities include recording letters or shapes by writing, sketching, drawing, engraving, or embroidering, pouring into a mold in the shape of a letter, stamping of the rubber stamp, cutting out letters, and printing. It is prohibited to write in any material in which writing is discernible: paper, wood, ice, sand, a misty window, and liquids that spilled on the table. Our sages prohibited a number of activities which might cause a person to write. Okay? And these are rabbinic, like talking about business, purchasing items, measuring and weighing, reading business articles, reading a guest list, and playing games which ordinarily involve writing. Okay? Though when it comes to games, what people will often do on Shabbos, if you're playing a game, playing Scrabble, and you need to keep score, so a way to keep score on Shabbos, even during the week, an easy way to keep score, anybody? Well, I had 24, now I got another 13 points, 37. How do we, so everyone takes a book and a bookmark. I was on page 24. After that turn, I'm now on page 37. And that's how we work our way and keep score as we're going on. Okay,
So, Rabbi,
interesting Shabbos innovation that someone came up with, right? Very often, right, you're leaving the house and you need to leave a message for someone else who's either sleeping when they wake up to do, right? So they actually have, right, a bunch of these words that are, remember to take the, put the, do this, and then you kind of do it, right? So there, I'm not writing. I'm just, I'm even not breaking apart, right? I'm just arranging these magnets in a way that that the message is being delivered.
Rabbi,
Yes.
can you just clarify that? Because I know that there are like single letter magnets. So can you spell a word out of those, or are you now selecting? Like, how does that work? Because
That would be okay.
okay.
Right? Because I'm not writing anything. I'm just moving things together. Yeah. Now you can do it with letters also, but that, like this, they made it a little bit easier that they already formed most of the words that that you would need to give a okay. Erasing. The malacha of erasing involves erasing or destroying a written form or character. This comes up very often in our Shabbos world. How does it come up very often in our Shabbos world? Forbidden activities include any form of erasing, whether by an eraser, by killing means, escaping off, or tearing up letters.
Oh yeah, opening bags of food or something like that.
Opening wrappers, opening bags. Yes, this is something that does come up very often, that we need to be careful on Shabbos, right? I give out lollipops. I don't give out Laffy Taffies.
Mm-hmm.
Laffy Taffies are very hard to open without tearing the letters. Very hard to open without tearing the letters. Birthday cakes, cakes with writing on it. So that also is going to be an issue of breaking apart, erasing, right? Or erasing, breaking apart. Now, if you've got food, you know, let's say you have like some sort of a biscuit and it has the word osam written on it, right? That's not a problem for you to eat it. But the problem is when you start cutting it up, right? A cake that you start to cut up. And that's why most of the religious kosher bakeries now, right? They'll have a big piece of chocolate and they'll write whatever they're writing, happy birthday, Bobby, on that chocolate. They can lift up the chocolate and they can cut the cake, as opposed to writing it on the cake itself.
Save the chocolate for later.
Huh?
Save the chocolate for
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's go to the end of this week. Let's go through. Okay. Yes.
I hate to keep asking questions.
No, it's good to ask questions.
So, and at times I'm probably too particular. What about shoes that have writing on, like writing on the sole of the shoe? Like a lot of brands will have the name of the company on the sole of the shoe, not the bottom of the shoe, I'm sorry, the insert. So, like as you're walking, like some of my older shoes, it ends up fading over time. So, like that's not a problem.
Not
Okay.
not a Now, sometimes a person will write their name on the edge of the book or write something on the book over there, right?
That's a problem. Right?
Yeah,
No?
it's best not to, but that's not such a problem. Okay, number 34, right? So we've gone through 33, 11, 13, 9. Okay, we had 11, which was Sidur the pot, making the bread. We had 13, which was the sewing the garments, starting with shearing the wool. And we had 9, which was writing, starting with trapping the animal. Okay, so we're already at 33. Now we have 34, 35, 36, 37. We have 2 duos and then a single. Okay, 34, 35 is the duo of building or demolishing. The malacha of building involves any action which aids in the construction of a building or section of it. Includes digging a foundation, pouring cement, setting up a wall, installing doors and windows, leveling the ground or changing its surface, right? Sweeping an unpaved floor, driving a nail, drilling a hole, reattaching a door window that became detached, affixing a door handle that fell off, setting up a tent, spreading a cover to form a roof, erecting a partition. Okay, and as part of setting up a tent, we have the issue if it's raining outside.
An umbrella.
Umbrella.
Umbrella. That is considered like setting up a tent. You can wear a rain hat, raincoat, but not carrying an umbrella. Even in a situation where carrying is not the issue, the Erev is up, right? Or in your own private area, nevertheless, there's a problem of that ohel. Number 35, demolishing, right? That is the deconstructing, demolishing, dismantling a structure described in the previous malacha. Demolishing buildings, removing nails, etc., taking apart a tent, demolishing walls. Okay, that's our first of the duos. Our second duo is 36, 37, kindling a fire, extinguishing a fire. That's 36 and 37, page 184, 185. This involves lighting a fire, turning up a flame, making a fire burn longer. Forbidden activities include any form of kindling a fire, whether by match, lighter, magnifying glass, electricity, or chemical means, lighting a new fire from an existing fire, poking a fire, smoking, adding fuel to a fire, right? We can't, right, do any of that, right? Also down below is smoking, right? We shouldn't be smoking anyhow, right? All of that is included in that. And yeah, turning on a light, that is included also. At the start of electricity, there were different opinions, but the accepted approach is that we don't do electricity on Shabbos, right? And yeah, yes.
What if there's a fire like in the house? And you
Okay,
put it out?
okay. So, okay. Zaira asked, how about there's a fire in the house? 37, extinguishing a fire, the malacha that involves putting out a fire, turning down a flame, shortening the time. This includes extinguishing a fire by any means, such as water, sand, foam, opening a door in front of it, blowing at it, stamping on it, covering it with a blanket, removing the wood, gas, flammable liquids, etc., that serve as its fuel. Okay, practical halacha is that any fire, right? If we have a fire that broke out, we're not talking about, your Shabbos candles, right? We're talking, if there is, heaven forbid, a fire, that is something that in our world, with all of our gas lines and electric lines and close proximity to others, that is something that is a safek pikuach nefesh. It is a potential life-threatening situation, and one should put out the fire. If you can't put out the fire, you call 911, you call the fire department, they come and they put out the fire. But let's say I've got out in a field, I own some land out in the desert, and I've got a wooden hut over there, no electric hookups, no gas hookups, there's no brush around there, and that ignites on fire. Even though my little house is burning down, if it's not going, if there is no way that this is pikuach nefesh, then I have to let it burn down, right? In order to save my money, my assets, I don't do, to save a life, yes, to save belongings, I don't break Shabbos. But again, that's a very, it's a rare situation that I just described, right? But in our world, we live in houses, we live in apartments, we live in neighborhoods, there's gas hookups, there's water, electrical hookups, right? And therefore, we make sure that it doesn't. Okay, so we're already at 30, we've done 37. We had our 11, 13, 9, 2, and 2, our duos, which was building and deconstructing, igniting and extinguishing. Now we've got 1 and 1 left. 38, the final hammer blow. The malach of the final hammer blow involves the final stroke, which completes a job or finishes the production of an object. Okay, these are things all customarily done by craftsmen: cleaning, polishing utensils, sharpening knives, removing the basting from a completed garment, right? This happens with our pockets, men's suits. You get a new suit, you have the stitching in the pocket. So that would not be removed on Shabbos. That is completing that. Banging an anvil with a hammer to smooth it, making an electrical connection, and connecting the handle to a tool. Okay, this would also involve, we'll see later on, I'm going to get into the next chapter, which is going into a lot of the practical applications. This would also be involved in making a kli, making a vessel, right? Which can be an issue when it comes to opening up a can on Shabbos. You're cutting through the top, and presto, you now have a container, a good usable container. So we discussed what's the way to circumvent that. What's the way to do that? You want to open
Put
a
a
can?
hole in the bottom.
What do?
Put a hole in the bottom.
First make a hole in the bottom. And that way, when I take off the top, I don't have a functional, usable kli vessel. Okay? Is opening a cork from a bottle of wine on Shabbos, is that a problem?
No problem.
No problem. Why no problem?
Because it's useless.
Okay,
Because
I haven't made a kli, right? I had a bottle with something stuck inside, and now I took that which was stuck inside, and I took it out. I had a bottle, and I had a cork, and now I have a bottle, and now I have a cork. I haven't created a kli. If I've got a bottle of pickles, vacuum packed, can I open that on Shabbos?
No.
Yes. Why?
Yeah.
I'm not making a kli. There was a bottle and there was a cover. It was on. Now it's off. I haven't made the kli.
What about like the hummuses that have that plastic film around it?
Okay, you buy some hummus and it has the cover. It also has that plastic on top. Is that a problem or not a problem? What do you guys say?
not a problem. Because
Okay.
it's the normal way of eating it.
Okay, so Josh said it's a problem because I'm tearing it. Okay, tearing is a problem if I'm making a kli. I'm not making a kli the same way if I buy a thing, food or other things. If I buy a thing of forks, I could tear open the plastic to open the forks. I have a thing of paper plates, right? I can tear it open. Why? Because I'm not making a kli, right? And therefore, right, it's a destructive act that's not constructive. It's not making a kli. Tearing off that, right? I had the plastic container. It's still a plastic. It was a plastic container. It's still a plastic container. It had a piece of plastic that was glued on top, and I removed that. If there are words on it, we want to be careful not to tear the words. But otherwise, that's not going to be an issue.
Real quick, Rabbi, before I forget.
Yes.
The other day, my son asked me if he could finish his Lego on Shabbos. I told him probably not a good idea.
Lego?
Yeah.
Okay. So Lego is a bit of construction.
Yeah.
Therefore, you, Josh, shouldn't play with Lego.
Okay.
Right? Kids, they can play with Lego on Shabbos. Yeah. Okay, 39. Carrying from one domain to another. The malach of carrying involves any form of transporting an object from public to private or vice versa, from private to public, whether by carrying, throwing, handing over an item to a person, pulling, pushing, right? All of these issues. Moreover, one should not transport an object more than 4 amot, let's say 6 feet, in public domain, even if the object did not come from a private domain. The prohibition does not include the clothes that one is wearing. Okay? So I can wear things, but I can't carry things. Right? I can, if we have the Eruv up, the Eruv will get onto all that. That turns this all into a private domain. It's not an issue. If the Eruv is down, I can wear my jacket home. I could wear my hat home. I could wear my coat home. But if I get hot on the way, I can't take it off and carry it. Okay? Yeah. And
What about backpacks?
a backpack is carried.
Yeah, you're still gonna take
Right?
it.
Whether I'm carrying it here, whether I'm carrying it in my pocket, right? If I'm not wearing it, then I am carrying it. Doesn't
So
matter carrying over my shoulder, in a pocket. All of those would be considered carrying. Or as you see in the pictures over here, pushing a stroller. Right? That's why it's important for an Orthodox shul that wants to grow with young families to have an Eruv. Otherwise, the strollers can't come and the kids can't come. And that's not a good sign for a shul.
That was my question. So just clarifying, you're talking about you can't carry your suit jacket if there's no eruv, right?
I can wear it, but I can't carry it.
Oh, so even if you have an eruv, I can't take off my suit jacket when it's hot?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. If there's an Eruv, it's like private domain.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
It's all private domain. No problem of carrying, no problems, never problem of wearing,
Okay.
right? If the Eruv is down, then we've got ourselves private domain within the confines of the shul, within the confines of your house, public domain, the streets, everything in between, and therefore one can wear, but one cannot carry.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's just look at 188. We'll finish up with that. How the third, page 188, how the third Melachos are divided. So we've already gone through this. Melachos 1 to 11, food preparation. 12 to 24.
Rabbi,
Yes.
I'm sorry to ask. What about pushing a wheelchair when the eruv is down? Is that something only?
Okay, so that is a problem. Okay, now there are times that if I need a cane, if I need a walker, wherever I go, then I would be allowed to use to carry a cane on Shabbos, to use a walker on Shabbos, because that becomes my leg, that becomes my shoe. Okay, if I need a wheelchair, then I would be able to roll, if I'm able to roll my wheelchair, because those are my legs, right? I'm not carrying that, I'm, so to speak, wearing that. That's becoming like a part of me. The same way that a person has a prosthetic leg, right? That will not be an issue. But for someone else to push it, that is problematic. That becomes like a stroller. Right? The baby also needs that, but I can't push. Okay. So again, the breakdown 1 to 11, food preparation. 12 to 24, preparation for clothing. 25 to 33, preparation of writing. 34, 35, right? Building, demolishing, place of habitation. 36, 37, fire or extinguishing. 38, final hammer blow. 39, transporting from one domain to another. Okay. Before reading the following activities, which are prohibited on Shabbos, it should be noted that these are only selected examples. Okay. And next week, yes, next week we are on regular back schedule at Tuesday night next week. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, basically 8:20 after we finish davening. All right. Very good, everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
Laila Tov.
Laila Tov. Thank you,
Thank you,
Rabbi.
Rabbi.
Everybody
Thank
be well.
you.
Be well.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're very welcome.
Bye. Good night.
Good night. Good night.